Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are commentating on our first F1 Esports race of F1 2021. As you can see, we qualified P6 behind Alvaro Carreton, Danny Moreno, Barry Burmant, Lucas Blakely and Nicolas Longue. Qualifying was extremely close. I think top 7 was within a 10th probably. Also I want to say a big shout out to Daniele who's starting behind me here, for giving me his replay of this race. I'll put the link to his socials in the description. A big shout out to him. Massive thanks for him giving his replay, as I didn't save it myself. So yeah, let's head into the race now. Starting P6 on the mediums. As you can see, Barry Burmant in P3 on the mediums as well. Nicolas Longue, Lucas Blakely, P1, P2 starting on softs. And then our teammate on mediums and Alvaro Carreton on the softs. I think everyone else behind us isn't starting on the mediums as well. So let's head into it. It's gonna be now 5 red lights. And away we go. Pretty good start on the mediums, but then in the second phase you can see Alvaro Carreton just pulled away a little bit into turn 1. And then we are going around the outside of our teammate. Daniele, who started P7 behind us, crashed. And then here I need to back out because otherwise we're in a crash. And now Danny Beresny behind me on the softs decided not to fight him because the softs are just so much more faster when they're new. No point in fighting it. I will just damage my own race if I do that. So just gonna let him go. Later on in the race we will get him back because he will get in a lot of positions in the first few laps. But on the soft tires, if you're in traffic, you're not getting the most out of the tire, of course. So yeah, I think he will get up to P4 at least. Try to stick with the DRS of Alvaro. If he manages to do so, he will have a very good race. But if he does not manage to stay in the DRS of Alvaro, he's going to have a very, very long race because he's probably using all of his ERS to get past Danny and Barry here. Or well, probably not Barry because Barry's his teammate, so I reckon Barry's not going to fight him too hard, of course. But as you can see here, using his ERS to get past our teammate Danny Moreno. You can see I'm not using any overtake right here, just saving it. No point in using anything at this point. You see Daniele in P19. Unfortunately for him, P20 now actually. He had a crash and has front wing damage from the get-go. So in F1 Esports, if you get front wing damage, you race over because you will have to drive another 10 laps, I think you start on the mediums at least, before you can go to the softs. And then he needs to change his wing, which costs an extra 3 seconds, and he will lose all the time with front wing damage as well, of course. So, race pretty much over. Now we're following our teammate around, Danny Moreno in P6, so we've lost 1 position, which is to Danny Beresny. You can see he is in the top left, 1.4 seconds behind Alvaro Carreton. If he manages to get in the DRS, like I said before, he will have a much better race, but at the moment he's not, and the DRS will be activated at the end of this lap. So he needs to get a move on if he wants to have a good solid race here. As we go to the next left-hander now. Barry has lost touch of his teammate Danny Beresny, who's trying to get in the DRS of Alvaro, of course. So now it's just the medium runners in this train. As far as I know, let's see if I see anything on here. Johnny Tormela actually in P9 on the softs as well. And then there's Fabricio to P10 on the mediums. So I don't think anyone else on the softs. Johnny Tormela going for the move on David Tenitsa. Of course, we want to stay ahead of Johnny Tormela because the softs will drop off eventually, and we don't want to get stuck behind him then. Also, looks like, or well, at the time we still felt, even though both Red Bulls were out in Q2, they were going to be our main rivals, which they are because usually they start off the season a little bit slow compared to me. As we've seen in the previous years as well, Freddy always struggles in the first event and then comes back throughout the season, and it looks like this time he struggled a lot because now he's in P15. So absolute nightmare for the Red Bulls to start of the season, both out in Q2. And now we're right behind our teammate Daniele where you're still not using any battery, you're just saving tires, chilling behind, because there's no point in fighting a teammate or fighting Barry into the pit stop phase. Barry probably want to let us through to try and get 1-2 in this train. As you can see, Daniele Radeon 1.1 seconds behind Overclockers, but then just before the DRS detection, he loses out. And basically at this point, Daniele Radeon is completely screwed. Because he probably used all of his ERS, which he won't regain as fast because he doesn't have DRS like us and like the people ahead of him. So he'll be struggling out. Daniele Radeon are going for the move. You can see we're trying to work together a bit. I was having a little look down the inside, but Barry was smart enough to cover off the switchback. I think we even hit a little bit. And he was thrill braking a lot into the corner to cover off the switchback. But still P7 now, net P6 basically. We don't count Danny. Beresney, who has dropped now half a second since the DRS detection, which is just because of the DRS. So yeah, he's going to be struggling for the rest of the race. See, Danny, our teammate, took him 6 seconds behind Daniele Radeon now. So we're already like 4.5 seconds behind the lead group in 4 laps. So that just shows softs are extremely fast when they're new. So it's important that we have cleared once we pit and come out on the track. Shouldn't have any issues with pitting and then catching up to people who have not made a pit stop yet. That's not really a thing around Bahrain. Only 20 laps. Tire deck is medium around here, so you will get undercut if some people go very early. But you see there, Danny faking going into the pits, but it's only lap 4. You can do 16 laps on the softs. So Joni Tormala pitting now at the end of lap 4. As you can see, David Tunitsa is pretty far behind now. Joni Tormala is behind us, and David Tunitsa, I don't know what happened to David. Maybe he was fighting Joni Tormala and now he lost touch. So David Tunitsa 1.6 seconds now, which is good. You can see on purpose I don't want to fight Barry because I want to be clear of all others, even though Barry is our rival this season. Basically, if we keep clear of Tunitsa here and make sure Tunitsa doesn't get back into the DRS, it makes all of our lives easier in this group. Mine, Barry's and Dani's. So that's what we're trying to do here, to keep clear and at the same time not ask too much from the tires. See that Tunitsa now 1.3 seconds, so he gained a little back. Because of dirty air, I'm stuck behind Barry, of course. But every time we get DRS, you can see there in the top left, we gain a few tenths back. So we'll go up and down a little bit the gap. Yeah, the goal is to stay clear of David Tunitsa, of course. Now we're gonna move on to a few laps later. As you can see here, Daniele Radeon pitting at the end of lap 5, very early in my opinion. I think he should be able to go longer on those softs. I understand he wants to get the undercut on the others to try and get in the DRS, but lap 5 is a bit early, I feel like. So yeah, I don't think that's going to work. I think he will struggle a lot in the end of the race. So we're still clear of the group behind us. You can see 1.7 seconds now as Fabricio Donoso has overtaken David Tunitsa for P7. Now, one lap later, still no one pitting this year. So as I said, a lot of people going long on the softs, as the softs are a good tire. Lap 8, you see there are a few behind us pitting. I think that is Lucas Blakely pitting at the end of lap 7. So it's interesting. Longley still out, Overclockers still out, and that means Lucas is going to struggle a little bit more towards the end, but the mediums will easily make it to the end. So small pace difference that's going to be. As we're still behind Barry. At some point we would like to overtake him, but that's difficult because our teammate is in front and he's giving DRS to Barry. which then makes it harder for me to overtake. But if we switch around, then we both have to overtake Barry, which is almost impossible in one straight. So you can see there, I'm using some overtake. You can see it in the bottom on my wheel. You see that orange bar in the bottom. When it turns green, it means I turn on the overtake button, and the hybrid systems give maximum power once I do that. Now, coming towards the end of lap 8, I reckon Longway and Alvaro are gonna pit. Maybe one of them not. But we will see in a second once we come out of the exit. The deltas are completely messed up in the top left. Maybe because I advanced through the next few laps. Alvaro and Nicolas both pit. That's interesting. Lucas in P16, who is behind his teammate. Oh, actually no, that's not true. There's a very big gap between Lucas and the people who still pit. As you can see here, I'm trying to get a bit of a move on and get past here, but as I said, it's very hard to overtake the leader when you're an extra car behind. What we were trying to do is both overtake Barry in one straight, but that's very, very hard to do. I was thinking about pitting at the end of this lap and go for an undercut on both Barry and Danny, because otherwise I was going to be stuck behind them all race. We do have a gap to Fabrizio behind 1.7 seconds, but Fabrizio pits this lap and we pit one lap later. He will be right with us again. So that undercut is that big, because as I said before, as you saw early on in the race, the softs are so fast around here, and I reckon we are going to pit into this lap. I don't remember. It's been quite a while since this race, of course. You see I'm right with my teammate, turning on the overtake button, staying out one more lap. I'm not sure what Fabrizio Gnozo is going to do. He's also staying out. As Frederick Rasmussen does pit. And again, I'm having a little look. You can see Barry went defensive, or a little bit defensive, and then I was braking so deep that I had to move out of the way, otherwise I was going to hit his back and get front wing damage. And we're going to move on to the end of lap 10. See, coming out of the final corner, I'm gonna box this lap very late on because I want to do opposite to Barry. Everyone stays out behind me, you can see. Fabrizio, Gnozo, David Tanitsa, Marcel Piet, Brendan Lee, all staying out, so they're going long. You can see there an Alfa Romeo boxing and Daniele and that, who started behind us, but of course got a damage early on, so I think he's chasing his front wing. No, he's not. So he just carries on with the front wing damage, which might be better to do as I move on to a better camera position. Coming out now, you can see all the way up front. Oh, for some reason it changed to down like that. Let me change that back. Alright, after filming some around, I finally got back to my own onboard, and now you can see we're in the outlap, and we're going to be pushing as hard as possible to create as big of a gap as possible in this lap. Without completely destroying my tires, of course, because we've done 10 laps on the mediums and now we need to do 10 laps on the softs. It sounds wrong, but softs are just a good tire, so by the last lap the mediums might be a bit faster compared to the people who have pitted now, but it doesn't matter. We need to get track position and use the softs to our maximum, and this way we can, because this way we are in clear air. And now we're going to try and catch up to Danny Bresney with, I think, around 5 seconds ahead. But of course, he's already on 5 lap old mediums and we are on brand new softs. You can see him there in the distance, driving, which I don't know exactly how much it is. We should get the interval back by the end of the lap, probably. So we'll find out soon. As you can see now, Barry Burman pitting, our teammate Danny Marino staying out for another lap. As we keep on pushing. See 58% now on our steering wheel, and the yellow bar in the bottom, and we have undercut Barry Borland by almost 2 seconds. So Freddie Rasmussen, who went even 1 lap earlier than us, is 1.4 seconds behind us, and Barry Borland is 9 tenths behind him. So we have gained 2.3 seconds at least on the outlap. That shows how hard we were pushing and how good our outlap was. So Barry has to catch up 2.4 seconds now in the space of 9 laps. which is possible because he has 1 lap fresher tires, and even though the softs are very, very good, you will get some degradation, and he will have that a lot less, as we will always have the 1 lap tire delta. Now, we are 2.6 seconds behind Daniele Radeon. You can see how much we've gained on the last 1.5 lap, probably around 1.5 seconds, and this will slowly fade away, as I said before, but then after we've caught up to Daniele Radeon and passed him, we need to gain 5 seconds to catch up to Overclockers. And even though we're probably gaining around 1.5 seconds per lap, technically we should only need 3 laps to catch up then, but you know, new soft tires have a lot of grip, and then after 3 laps you don't have that same grip anymore. So I would say even from the out lap to the first time lap, there's quite a drop off, I would say. As now our teammate Danny Moreno pits, and he will come out very, very far behind us. You can see Barry has overtaken Freddy, and is now 1.6 seconds behind us. So he's gained 8 tenths over the last lap. Probably most of it down to the ERS, as I didn't push the ERS as much as I did on the out lap. So yeah, now I'm gonna try and get DRS from Daniele Radeon on the main straight. It's not gonna be easy because this is all mechanical grip coming up, but later on in the lap we're not going to be able to gain time. That is, you see I'm using overtake to try and get within the DRS ASAP, and then get past Danny straight away, because we cannot waste any time on this set of soft tires behind someone who's on 5 level mediums. So now 46% on the battery, and we will get DRS on the main straight, which is very important. Straight away gonna try and overtake him on the main straight for P4, and then we have 5.4 seconds to catch up to Overclockers, who's on way better mediums than Daniele Radeon. So at the same time we need to try and keep Barry Werman out of her DRS, which is gonna be basically near impossible because he's already 1.4 seconds only behind us. And now I'm gonna get past Daniele Radeon for P4, and he's not putting up a fight because he knows that even though if he fights me he could help his teammate a little bit, he would completely ruin his own race and fall out of the points if he wastes too much time on me. So there's no real point in fighting me too hard here, because it would just destroy his own race. There's no point in doing that, as his aim is still to score points, of course, this race, which is looking very unlikely, because you can see the amount of people behind him who are on new softs, and he's on all mediums. He's probably struggling with ERS as well from early on in the race. I'm not sure what he tried after the pit stop phase. Maybe he tried to use a lot of ERS and catch up to Overclockers and then failed to do so. So not sure. You can already see the gap to Danny, 1.3 seconds. So he has lost just on this lap already 1.5 seconds as we overtook him on the start finish line. And on the last lap we've gained 8 tenths to Overclockers, 9 tenths now, 1 second, which means we need to keep the space delta to Alvaro until the end of the race, which is going to be near impossible because our softs are going to be dropping off faster than his mediums. So we've got a very, very tough task up ahead now. Barry now 1.7 seconds behind us, as we have used a bit more ERS on the last lap, I think, so than him. You can see we're down to 20% as we break into turn 1. Teammate Danny Moreno still 1.4 seconds behind Frederick Rasmussen. So he has 2 lap fresher tires than us and 1 lap fresher tires, and then Barry Werman. So even though he has that tire delta compared to us, it's not easy to catch up 3 seconds on us. Plus, he will get past Daniele Radeon pretty easily, I reckon, on this lap, on the main straight. But yeah, we have to try and keep pushing to keep Barry Werman out of the rest and have a big lockup into the next left-hander. Yeah, 4 seconds now to Overclockers on you. As I said last lap, in 1 second on the last lap, basically, as we went through the right-hander. It was 4.5 seconds, and now it's 4 seconds, which means we've only gained half a second which is far too little. 3.9 now, so it means we've gained 6 tenths, and you know, we need a lot more to catch up. Probably because Lucas is having amazing race pace and just pulling Alvaro and Nicolas along, and I think we lost just a little bit too much time earlier on in that train with Danny and Barry. I think no one really wanted to sacrifice their own race to push and use the ERS, use the tires to pull us along, and that costed us basically a shot, all 3 of us, for the win. So yeah, that was annoying. Barry now 1 second behind us. We've got no ERS. You can see in the bottom middle 8%, 6% if we go into the right-hander, which means we have some work to do with regaining our ERS, because otherwise we're going to be struggling towards the end of the race to Freddy Rasmussen and Danny Moreno. At this point, Barry 8 tenths now, he's going to get DRS on the straight. Just have to accept that Barry will get DRS, and I just need to recharge my ERS. At this point I felt like I wasn't going to finish P4 because I had no ERS, 1 lap older tires than Barry, and we've gained another half second to Alvaro, which is far too little. As I said, we need at least a second at this point per lap to catch up. And yeah, again, as you can see in the bottom on my wheel, 8% ERS going into the final corner. At this point I felt like I'm not going to finish this race in P4 and probably not in P5 because the teammate Danny Moreno is coming as well, and Barry is catching us at a rapid pace. You can see Nicolas Longe and Lucas Blakely fighting up ahead, so that gave me some hope that if they were going to fight really hard that we could catch up to them. But at the same time, no ERS, and there's only like 4 laps to go with Barry right behind us. So I hoped that Barry was still confident enough he could push for the top 3 and he could carry me along, and that way I could recharge my battery. But I think he understood at this point as well that he wasn't going to make that as well. So now the fight for P4 is on. For some reason it shows that Cedric Tomei is leading, but that's wrong. It's Nicolas Longe in P1 and then us in P4. Cedric Tomei, I think at this point was in the bottom 5 somewhere. I don't know why he's stuck in P1, but doesn't matter. Barry 3 tenths behind us now. I'm not using my overtake button anymore, of course, because there's no point in doing so. I just need to recharge my ERS for the final few laps. At the end of this lap, it's going to be 3 laps remaining, and on that last lap we only gained 2 tenths to Alvaro Caraton because Nicolas and Lucas are fighting and are pushing their tires and ERS to the limit, which is just beautiful for Alvaro because he can just follow them along and chill. And I think Barry is going for a move here because we are way too slow at this point. We've got no ERS, we've got slower tires, so Barry is going faster here. I'm a little bit of a lift and coast because I didn't want to be on Barry's racing line, because of course I want to get to the finish as fast as possible as well and not drop behind Freddy and co. So now 21% ERS, and now we're going to get DRS, so we will recharge our battery system a little bit faster with the DRS, as I reckon Barry will have slightly more ERS than we have at this point, so he's going to be pushing probably to try and get away from us. That's why I used a little bit of battery there on that exit in the middle sector, because I felt like Barry could maybe potentially pull out of the DRS, and that's not what we want. We want to stay in the DRS, as Danny Moreno now 1 second behind us, and he will get DRS in the next lap, and then there will be 2 laps remaining. So I don't know the battery levels of Danny at this point, of course. So yeah, I have no idea. I probably asked it at the time what are his battery levels. Probably was low as well because he was pushing to catch up to us and overtake Freddy. Freddy has done an excellent race, to be honest, because he went from P14 to P7. So he's doing very, very well. 20% battery now with 2 laps remaining. As braking for turn 1, we're going to be recharging to 30%. with the help of DRS, of course. And again, on this lap, we're going to be recharging more because we have the DRS, which helps you so much with recovering DRS. Now to third gear. Rear tires are probably struggling at this point. This track is very, very limited because of all the traction zones. At this point, I was 100% sure that we were not going to finish on the podium. Maximum we can get here is P4, unless someone in the top 3 crashes. Which I was hoping for, of course, because the top 2 were battling so hard. I could see them going wheel to wheel all the time. And I was just praying they were going to crash. But our main task is trying to get past Barry here. Who, I'm not sure how his DRS levels were, because they were focusing on the broadcast, on the top 3 of course, because they were battling very hard, and I was just following Barry around, so I had no idea what Barry's ERS levels were. As there is slowly there. No idea why. But now I'm using my ERS as much as possible. I think that Haas was not there. I think that's just a replay bug. I reckon Barry's just going to drive straight through it. I reckon Cedric was not there, because otherwise Barry would have had DRS, and it's very weird. You can see now, Barry is flashing, and I'm saving my battery for the next one. Barry goes defensive, which is kind of what I wanted. I was kind of hoping for that. And now I'm having a better exit, because we get the switchback. Now we're going to turn on the overtake button. You can see Barry's still flashing, we get the DRS. Into turn 4 we go around the outside. And I go a little bit offensive to try and cover off Barry. Let's replay that a little bit. You see, I cover off the inside a little bit, which was not very needed, but still did it to be sure. And now our teammate is right with Barry, because we had that little fight in turn 1 that had or gave the opportunity to Danny to catch up and be right with Barry. And now I felt like I had slightly more pace than Barry in this last lap, probably because we had more battery, not sure. I was pushing as hard as I could here to try and open up to get to Barry as much as possible, so Danny could have a chance somewhere around the lap. You can see there, as we went braking into that left-hander, Barry is flashing, so are we, but our teammate Danny Moreno is not, and that gives him the opportunity on this straight to turn on the overtake button, get the slipstream. I'm trying to break the slipstream here so that Danny can have a go into the final corner. And with the help of the overtake button, Danny is going to go down the inside. You can't see it here. I can't change the camera, unfortunately. But Barry goes off track, and we finish P45, which is very good for the championship. That means 22 points, so we lose out to Aston Martin, will win the race. So at this point, we are second in the constructors behind Aston Martin, I reckon. And then I have no idea who's P3 in the constructors, but yeah, probably a wrong strategy around here. It is what it is. My worst start in F1 Esports, because in 2019 I finished P2, in 2020 I finished P1. So worst start ever in F1 Esports history, but it is what it is. Soon I will upload episode 2, which is China. Yeah, it's China, which is going to be a very exciting one. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you guys want to see more F1 Esports content, and see you guys next time. Ciao.